Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast, where today we're going over UFC Vegas 79, Fiziev versus Gamrot. First things first, make sure you give this video a like, smash that like button, give a follow over on Twitter, over on Instagram, over on TikTok, wherever there's social media. There is the Stats and Stacks podcast. It's a super quick recap. Had every lock hit last week, crushed it on Noche UFC. It was one hell of an event for us. Got a little greedy with the Kyle Nelson. I'm gonna really kick myself in the ass for that when I chose Kyle Nelson by split decision. We hit on the over. We hit on Kyle Nelson winning. Why didn't do the plus 700 Kyle Nelson by decision? No idea. Went the plus 2200 with the split and ended up he got a unanimous decision, but it is what it is. Otherwise, we only two dogs really hit on the card. Or sorry, only like one or two dogs hit on the card. And the two we chose, it was very odd because neither one lost. We had Lacerda, who there was the no contest, and then we had Grosso where there was a draw. So chalk that up as an undefeated week, I guess. We fucking crushed it. There's gonna be a long break after this one, a whole week. But it is going to be a week off next week, so don't feel pressured to go in and bet every single fight because this card is an absolute dumpster fire. It's trash. There's landmines left and right. Last week there were only one or two dogs that hit. This week the whole damn card could hit. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the fuck to do with this card. Got to talk it through, figure it out with you. But at the end of the day, it's not a good card, but it's a free card, so there's no complaining on this end. So, I mean, it gets greasy from the very get go here. You look at the very first fight of the night. You're looking at Montserrat Rendon, not Ruiz, Rendon, making her debut at plus 195, going up against Tamiris Vidal at minus 240. Over under sitting at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 260. Under 2.5 at plus 195. Let's start with Vidal, because I want to be honest with you. Uh, it was the longest walkout in her debut I've ever seen in my life. Her fight against Ramona Pascual was one half of how long the walkout was. And I'm not being facetious by any means. This girl came out and took forever to get to the octagon. I remember DC and Dom getting really frustrated with the fact that the whole fight could have been over by the time it took her to get there. It was just the slowest walk she took in the moment. And I'll never trust her for that again. She's 25 years old. She did go out there and get the win at least. I really wanted her to lose. So she had like the longest walkout. And like, I'm not kidding you when I say Izzy did that dance that one time before he fought Whitaker for the title. It was shorter than Vidal's walkout last time. It was ridiculous. I'm certain she got chewed out, and I'm certain she won't do it again. But I don't know. I'm actually going to tune in. I wish you could bet the over under on how long it takes her ass to get to the octagon. I'll tell you that. But in regards to her fighting, not much to talk about. I'd rather talk about her entrance. Her striking's okay. It's not that great. She throws a whole bunch of flashy stuff. Her last win was by flying knee. Outside of that, she throws a whole bunch of spins and she's just flashy shit that's not really that effective. Her jiu-jitsu is okay. She has a lot of submission wins on the regional scene, but she's fighting absolutely nobodies on the regional scenes. I mean, 1-1, 0-0. She fought someone that was 1-3. She fought Carol Hosa and got her ass whooped. She fought Eileen Perez and got her ass whooped, and then Eileen went and got herself DQ'd with 2 minutes left in the fight. So she only fought two girls that are decent, and she got absolutely bullied. Everyone she fought that was 0-0, she went out there and dominated. Her wrestling's terrible. She's on her back all the time, so she has no takedown defense. Very submission over position on the ground, and it's not very good. If you have any semblance of a ground game, she's not tapping you out. And the striking's okay, but it's really just flashy stuff that catches your eye. Nothing's actually landing. Her gas tank is atrocious. She gasses out in the third round all the time. So there's not really anything to like about this girl. She's gonna have to clip me with something early and get lucky, or fight someone that's terrible. That's really all she has. She seems to be a good hammer when she's fighting these low level girls, but a terrible nail. If you give any sort of buyback, she really does struggle. On the other side, we have Rendon. And when I saw Vidal as a minus 240, I literally went and wanted to auto bet Rendon. And then I watched the tape. Maserat's one of the worst fighters on the roster, man. She's awful. She's very, very bad. She's essentially a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. That's where she wants to do all of her work. She's very, very good on the ground. However, she can't wrestle to save her life. She's an absolute terrible wrestler. She's 34 years old, so she's not a young prospect. We're not going to see her improving every single time she comes out year after year. She's going to be a killer. She's already fucking 34. She's not get much better. Her striking's very robotic and she's slow as shit. Like it's bad. She can't strike. She can't wrestle. She has a good ground game, but she can't get there. She's not going to drop you to get there. She's not going to take you down to get there. She's old. She's very hittable on the feet with how slow she is. I don't know. I've seen her go for a few body locks, and that's the only takedown I've ever seen out of this girl. I've never seen her shoot a double. I've never seen her try to get a single leg. She will only go for a body lock takedown. Grab a hold of you, try to drag you down, struggle to do so, say fuck it, and then just throw a few robotic jabs out there. I mean, even her last win, I thought she lost. Everyone thought she lost. You should hear the commentary team saying she didn't really deserve that win, a split decision win, and that's what got her into the UFC. Like I saw her tape and was like, I want to instantly fade. But these two girls that I think are not UFC caliber are fighting each other. So I don't know. The right thing to do is probably dog or pass. But if you see Montserrat fight, you do not feel comfortable putting money on her. You don't want to play the over under game because Vidal throws that wild shit that can knock out anyone, or she can miss everything as usual, and it could end up being a long just I don't know, a long fight like her entrance. So the pick is going to be Vidal because she at least has UFC experience and has fought UFC caliber girls. Because Rendon is also has very, very sketchy competition. And even though she's supposed to be good on the ground, she lost a grappling competition to Juliana Miller, who's not very good. God, they're both so bad. I'm gonna have to pick Vidal. Do I want to bet Vidal? Fuck no. Do I want to bet Montserrat? Absolutely not. So this is a complete pass. If you put any money on it, I guess you could put the under. At least it's plus 200. Maybe one of those crazy things, those flying knees from Fidel's, one of those spinning attacks actually catches her. Or maybe she accidentally falls on the ground and Mondrak can jump on her back and get a sub. So the pick is going to be Vidal. The bet's going to be the under. But I really just want to just overall pass. It's a very, very sketchy fight. And the next one's not much better. We have Mizuki Inoue at minus 300, which just sounds disgusting. Going up against Hannah Goldie at plus 240. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 330. Under 2.5 at plus 240. Let's start with Inoue because we haven't seen this girl in over 3 years. She took a very, very long break here. She's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage, which is nice. She's been in the UFC, but again, we have not seen her in 3 years. Her last fight, I mean, she trains over with the Sarah Longo camp, so training with Aljo and Marab and stuff is nice. And although she has a ton of losses on her record, let's be honest, she lost to Amanda Lemos, who just fought for a title. She lost to Verna Jandaroba, who's the GOAT. And it was a split decision, so losing to Verna via split is actually a good look. She lost to Alexa Grassos, who's the literal champion right now. She lost to Karolina Kovacevic by split, who is a former title challenger. So the last four losses I just named that are all in the UFC, like they're well, I guess the Alexa fight wasn't in the UFC, but and neither was the Verna. But her last four losses are all to people that have fought for a title or have been champ, or Verna, who is just cool. I like Verna. So very good level of competition. It's just her wins. She doesn't have any good wins. She fights good girls. She fights them close, but she can't beat them. Then they give her an absolute scrub, and no one she has beaten is on the active UFC roster. They all have been cut because they're bad. So she has good losses, but no good wins. Her striking's okay. It's it's not bad. She's a little hittable. I don't like that, but she does love the pressure forward. Her wrestling's okay. It should be better contingent on where she's training with Longo MMA, but it's okay for women's MMA. It will pass. So again, she's just okay everywhere, but she fights everyone tough. She has a lot of splits. Yanan Wu was a win, split decision. She has split decision against Verna, who's actually pretty good. Like her UFC fights, most of them go to split because he just fights everyone close. Karolina Kovacevic split. Like that's what she does here. And I think a lot of that is because of how much she pressures. She is in your face constantly throwing, which is nice. It's good to see. On the other side, you have Hannah Goldie who can get backed up. So these two are going to match up perfectly. Goldie is predominantly a striker. My problem with Goldie is that she has these little T-Rex arms. Like she has tiny, tiny arms, and she tries to fight long. Like you see a lot of times you have these short, stocky people that really want to be someone like a Nazareth Akparas has like a build of a wrestler, but he's a striker. Like you kind of feel bad for them. She has the build of someone that should be wrestling, and she's a striker. It's like she has little arms, but she wants to do a karate style point fighting. She's absolutely massive, though. She's short, stocky, strong as shit. She is so strong, but has zero knockouts. Like it's very odd. It's like the complete opposite of what you would expect. She's had a good camp at Fusion, but she's 31, so this is going to be the finished product. I like her a lot better at 115. She had a lot of fights at 125 for quite some time. She was just too small. She's still small at 115, but she's so strong. She's stronger than all of these girls, which is nice. She has really high volume in that little karate point style fighting that she has. But God, it's not. It's just how are you that strong and you can't knock anyone out? It's just confusing to me. It's mind-boggling. Her jiu-jitsu has improved. Her wrestling has not. 55% takedown defense. We saw her get a submission win, which was nice over Emily Whitmire. But I think all of Spitfire Whitmire's losses were by submission. Like all you do is armbar that girl. She can't figure that out. She's been in MMA for years and she can't figure it out. Always gets armbarred. I don't know, man. Goldie's not very good. She's kind of chinny, to be honest with you. We saw Meatball Molly put her out. We saw Diana Balbita rock her multiple times. Miranda Granger rocked her. That's not a good look. Like she has a lot of bad losses on her record, not a lot of good wins. So I don't know. At the end of the day, the biggest thing with Goldie is the OnlyFans fade is real. Jessica Andrade started OnlyFans, hasn't won. Marina Moreau has a OnlyFans, hasn't won. Hannah Goldie started OnlyFans, hasn't won. Like they get so much money on OnlyFans that they're not really I think they're just not focusing on their UFC career because it's their side job at that point. They're getting more money elsewhere. This is their side job. It's their side hustle. So get ready to, I think, who else is on OnlyFans? I think Eileen Perez is on OnlyFans now. Get ready to fade her, whoever she fights next. Who else is on it? Paige Van Zant was the trendsetter, and she hasn't really won since she's had it. So I don't know. At the end of the day, OnlyFans fade for Goldie. Inoue, the better fighter. We just haven't seen her for 3 years, but I'll trust it. So the pick is going to be Inoue. The bet's going to be Inoue, and the two first fights are absolute grease at its finest. And it doesn't get much better in the third. We have Jake Collier plus 135, Muhammad Usman minus 160, over under set at 2.5. Straight pick 'em. I don't know what to fucking do with this fight, man. I don't even know. Let's start with Muhammad, because I think Muhammad is absolute trash. He's so bad. I can't emphasize how bad this dude is. He's 34 years old. He's only in the UFC because his last name is Usman. He wanted to be a football player, wanted to go pro, couldn't do that. So he's like, I guess I'll just start fighting. I know he wrestled in high school. That's really to the extent that he wrestled, and that's what he utilizes in his MMA career. He's a pretty okay blast double because he's an athlete, but he doesn't hit particularly hard. I know he knocked out Zach Poaga, but Zach Poaga is not a heavyweight, and Zach Poaga is a little chinny. So at the end of the day, that doesn't really hold a lot of weight knocking out Zach. Outside of that, he's not knocking out really anyone good. He has a lot of wins over really sketchy competition. Getting absolutely murdered by Dontel Mays is not a good look. Getting absolutely murdered by Brandon Sales is a terrible look. Like, I don't know. He can't strike. He has low volume. He slows down in his fights. His cardio is not good. His schedule is very questionable. He's very hittable when he's on the feet. And he throws the least amount of strikes I've ever seen. When I say he's low volume, he throws under a significant strike per minute. I've never seen anything like that. under of 0.92 significant strikes per minute. I will be damned if you find someone that throws less on the feet. Like, it's concerning. He literally doesn't throw. He just stands there and stares at you, shoots a blast double to push you against the cage, try to get some cage work done. He's going to try to get the takedown, but he's not that good of a wrestler. Again, a high school wrestling pedigree. So me and him are on the same level playing field in regards to wrestling. When it comes to like clinch work, it's all right, but he doesn't really throw. He just tries to bully you up and use his physicality. But he's physically strong, but like Goldie, he's physically strong and doesn't have knockout power. So what the fuck do you do with this guy? If you are good at all, you will kill Muhammad Usman. I know he's a tough winner. I know that he trains at Fortis, which is a good camp. I know that he's Usman's brother, but he's absolutely terrible. If you give him anyone good, he's going to get murdered. That's the thing. They're giving him Jake Collier. Jake Collier is a career middleweight who decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna not train, go up to heavyweight and try to get some dubs because the heavier you are, the less skilled you are. And you know what? He's getting some dubs at heavyweight. At least he started to, and now he's hit a little bit of a stretch. The jig is up on Jake Collier. He has good striking. He throws a ton of volume. Does he have a ton of power? No, not at heavyweight. He does it middleweight at 185, but at heavyweight, it just doesn't translate over because he's going up so many weight classes here. He's rocking a 67% takedown defense. Now, that number is weird because some of that came from middleweight. You don't have a lot of good heavyweight wrestlers. Not a lot of people have tried to wrestle him at heavyweight. So I don't know. That's a sketchy number. Most of that is from middleweight, so I'm just gonna leave his takedown defense alone there. But unlike Usman throwing 0.92 significant strikes per minute, Jake throws a ton, like almost over 6 significant strikes per minute. Like, he throws a ton. He does slow down as well, but he slows down because he's working on the feet. I have no idea why the fuck Usman is slowing down. He doesn't do anything. So at that juncture, Jake is the better striker. I'll say Usman's the better wrestler for now. Better on jiu-jitsu, definitely Jake. But at heavyweight, is Jake getting off his back? No, not really. We saw Chris Barnett dominate him down there because he gassed out. So that's not a good look. He's lost 3 in a row. Martin Buday is an okay fighter. Chris Barnett's one of the worst on the roster. And Andre Arlovski's like 50 years old. I'll give it to him. Andre, he won that Andre fight. Andre got the old man rub there, but it shouldn't be that close. Like, that's the problem. It shouldn't be close enough to where they can gift it to Andre. So very sketchy. 0-3 record. Or run right now. I just can never bet on Usman chalk. That's disgusting. I will never. I don't care who. If he's fighting Chris Barnett, I am not betting Usman chalk. I cannot do it. He almost lost to Junior Tafa, who has like 4 career fights. Like, it was really, really bad. So the pick is going to be Jake. The bet is going to be Jake. Jake is the better fighter. He's just multiple weight classes up. So whatever. I'll take Jake. All right. Next fight of the night. We finally have some talent, but not really a great fight here. We got Jacob Malkoun as also minus 600 now. Cody Brundage, I had it at plus 370. He was over plus 400 the last time I checked. Over under sitting at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 125. Under 2.5 minus 105. Let's start with Jacob Malkoun because he's my boy. He has been a cash cow for me. I love Jacob Malkoun. He fought Phil Hawes. I bet him because you don't believe in Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes starched him. Jacob does not have a chin. That's his con. He cannot take a punch whatsoever. Gets dropped all the fucking time or gets absolutely put out. But his cardio's great. His wrestling's great. His jiu-jitsu's good. I believe he just got his black belt. His striking's trash. I will say he has a jab, and I think he only developed a jab to keep people at bay so that he can't get hit because he does not take punches well. I will tell you that. But you don't need a chin if you're never on the fucking feet. If you're just wrestling the entire time and you're on top because you're the better wrestler and you're wearing people out and then all their power is gone, you don't need a fucking chin. And that's his strategy. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle until he's either on top of you or you tire out and you can no longer put his lights out. That is his whole strategy. And you know what? He's been an underdog in every single one of his fights. And if you haven't noticed, he has 3 wins and he's always a considerable dog. I remember betting him I bet him by submission against Abdul. I got pretty greedy there. And he ended up having a million Darce chokes in it. Just none of them sank. But I did just have a money line bet on him at like over plus 200. He came through for me. AJ Dobson, he came through for me. Brendan Allen, I bet him by decision. I realize, he's just not a finisher. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bet him by decision, and it was a huge number. It was like plus 900. He got fucking robbed. And this is the problem. That time in 2022, in June of 2022, this is the very first time where they started implementing damage over control. They have done a pretty decent job of staying congruent with that as of late. If you have someone that takes you down but doesn't throw a lot of punches, and they're on top of you for 3.5 minutes, and you land some good strikes for 1 minute, that 1 minute is going to win you the round. Damage over control is what they have stayed true to for the last year. The problem was, this is the first time we saw it. This is the first time it came into effect, because Jacob Malkoun took him down 8 times and destroyed him. The problem is he didn't throw a ton when he was on top. It was just a lot of control and a lot of takedowns and a lot of control. He bullied him, but when Brendan got to the feet, he threw some punches, and Jake doesn't react well because Jacob does not like to get hit, and they would give him the round. So Brendan Allen was winning all these rounds by landing like 4 strikes. Like, it's ridiculous. But he wasn't doing enough on top, so they gave the win to Brendan. That sucked. I thought we got robbed, but then they made him the dog against Big Maximoff again. And again, I am going to continually bet the best things you can have in MMA are a gas tank and good wrestling. Jacob Malkoun has both. Nick Maximoff is only a jiu-jitsu practitioner and a wrestler. So if Jacob had better wrestling, I'm going to go Jacob all day because I know he has better cardio. And what do you know? He went out there, decision Nick Maximoff. He's my boy. I love Jacob Malkoun. He's always plus 200, always winning me money. Minus 600 Jacob Malkoun is disgusting. Absolutely not. I've been rocking with him for years. Cannot do this. Vegas has caught on, and I am pissed the fuck off. Do I want to bet him? Or do I want him to win? Am I going to pick Jacob Malkoun? Absolutely, because Cody Brundage sucks. Cody Brundage just came off a loss to Cedric dumbass. Like, that is not a good look. He's 8-5 overall. It's a sneaky bad record when you really look at it. He is good wrestling, a good wrestling pedigree. I believe he wrestled D1. His jiu-jitsu is actually pretty decent. He's a pretty good jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's just, if you watch Cody Brundage, he's going to pull guillotine. He's going to jump a ghillie. That is his favorite thing, no matter who he's fighting. If you are a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner, he's jumping on a ghillie. If you are Cedric dumbass, he's jumping on a ghillie. Like, he does not care. He has an addiction. He can't control it. Some people can't help but have a little drink once in a while. Some people can't help but have a little smoke once in a while. He cannot help but slap on a guillotine once in a while. He loves guillotine. I think people say they love their family. They love their job. Cody Brundage loves guillotines, like, more than his heart. It probably goes like guillotines, then his family, then the UFC. Like, he loves guillotines. Rodolfo Vieira, world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner. Guillotine. Cedric. Guillotine. Michael Oleajchuk. Guillotine. Treson Gore. Guillotine. Dolce got the win. Jumping Gilly. Good for you, Cody. It worked one time in the last 13 fights. So, yeah, this guy, I don't know, man. He has bad cardio. He's taking this fight on short notice again. The last time we saw him take a short notice fight, he looked the worst he's ever looked. He's rocking. Although he's a good wrestler, he has a 73% takedown defense. On paper, D1 should beat junior college, but MMA wrestling and folk style wrestling, two completely different things. Like, it's not the same. Folk style wrestling, you're predominantly just scrambling and you're shooting singles and doubles. There's not a lot of throws. There's not a lot of timing. MMA wrestling, you're getting punched in the face. You gotta evade. You gotta time. It's all about timing. Like, it really is reaction. It's a lot more reactionary. You see a lot of guys in folk style where they want the other person to shoot. I want you to get on my leg so that I can just leap around and scramble. You're not gonna scramble like that because you get punched in the face and choked out in MMA. So MMA, it's all about timing, and there's a lot more stuff going on. And Nick Maximoff, better MMA wrestler than D1 Cody Brundage. You know who else is probably a better MMA wrestler than Cody Brundage? Jacob Malkoun. So you take away his wrestling, which is his bread and butter. Jacob Malkoon is a recent black belt, so just jumping gillies not going to work. So you take away the love of his life in his guillotine. You take away his wrestling. What do you have? Striking? He is the better striker. I will give him that. He's at a good striking camp, Factory Muay Thai. I think that is a great camp for him because they're not going to teach him anything wrestling related. He's a great wrestler. Jiu-jitsu, you can still learn, but they're not bad at jiu-jitsu, and striking is where he needs to excel. So he's at a camp that can help him with what he needs. And that will be pivotal here. He doesn't even have to take down Jacob. If you could just have good enough wrestling to stay on your feet, you can knock out Jacob easily. And he does have a knockout win recently in the UFC. He knocked out Tresean Gore just a year ago. He has the power to do it. It doesn't take a lot of power to take out Jacob Malkoon, but he's taking it on short notice. Jacob has that jab and one hell of a wrestling game. And if he keeps taking down Cody, he's going to fade a lot faster than others. And he's going to have that threat of the knockout get taken away by like round 2. So the pick is Jacob. The bet should be Jacob, but I'm not going to touch an over under because my gut is telling me Jacob is long overdue for a submission. I'm looking at his record here. He has one submission, or sorry, I'm looking at. Let me pull up Jacob's record again real quickly for you. Sorry, this is Cody. Cody only has one submission win. Jacob Malkoon 7-2. His last submission win came. I think he never has one, right? Yep, never has a sub. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Just got awarded it. 0 submissions on his record. When you are tired, the easiest way to beat a tired fighter is to submit them. They gas out, they have nothing left, and they quit in there. Cody Brundage, he's primed for the pick and come that 3rd round. So my pick is going to be Jacob, but you can't bet that. My bet's going to be Jacob inside the distance. I know he's a decisionator, but my cut is screaming him to get a submission win. And you know what? By some fluky way Cody wins this, it's by knockout. So I think the safest thing is to just touch the under. It's almost plus money. It's minus 105. It's not as much as I would like, but that's the way I'm taking it. So the pick is gonna be Jacob. The bet's gonna be the under 2.5 if you're betting this, but it might just be a pass based on how the line is. Speaking of tempting lines, Tim Means plus 145, Andre Fiala minus 175, over under set at 1.5, over 1.5 minus 145, under 1.5 plus 115. Let's start with the Dirty Bird because he's trash, man. He's 39 years old. It's not that he's trash, it's that you see his skills just diminishing because of how old he is. He still has decent volume overall. His wrestling's still pretty decent. We saw him just take down Max Griffin 3 times, so that's a good look. He took down Kevin Holland, gave Kevin Holland a good first round, to be honest with you. That was just last year. But he does slow down in his fights now. He didn't always used to do that. He does do that now, probably because he's 39 fucking years old. He loves to march forward, which is nice. His jiu-jitsu is questionable. When you look at his losses, Alex Morono sub, Kevin Holland sub, Alex Oliveira sub, Matt Brown sub, back in the regional seed, he had a guillotine loss, triangle sub. Yeah, he loses a lot by sub. How many losses does he have? He has about 15 losses, and it looks like almost 10 of them are by submission. So his ground game is very, very questionable, to be honest with you. He's just kind of a grinder, man. He comes out, he marches forward, he'll take you down a few times, he'll stay in your face and be a dog, an absolute dog. It's just a lot easier to be a dog when you're not 39 fucking years old. When your kids are in high school, it's a lot harder to be a dog. But on the other end, we have someone that's the complete opposite of a dog. I guess it's a fucking pussy. Andre Fiallo, not good. He looks like the goods. He acts like he's the goods. He is not. He has a ton of power. He has pretty decent striking. It's just very, very low volume. It's very boxing centric. Like he does not throw any kicks. There's rumors that he's an okay wrestler. They talk about I slammed DC one time when he tried to take me down. Like they'll probably talk about that on the broadcast. But I didn't see that. That's just a rumor. What I did see was him get taken down by Joaquin Buckley. I did see him get taken down by Michelle Pereira. Like, these aren't wrestlers, so I don't know how good his wrestling truly is. But the biggest problem with Fiallo is his fucking chin. It's awful. Like, you want to talk about Jason Witt level bad? Like, this guy's chin. Joaquin Buckley, knockout. Muslim Salikov, knockout. Jake Matthews, who's an Australian grappler, knockout. Michelle Pereira somehow survived, but he got rocked multiple times. Chris Curtis, I know he hits like a truck, but knockout. Chidi Njokuani, knockout in 21 seconds. Like, this guy has a history of getting knocked out. In fact, out of all of his losses, he has one, two decisions. Two decisions. All the rest of his losses, knockout. So I know he's in a good camp at Killcliff. I do like that. But yeah, he was supposed to come in and be good, and he's not. Even his wins in the UFC, Cameron Van Camp is a lightweight, and he's trash, and he's been cut. Miguel Baeza is also a chinny fighter, so it's just a matter of who caught who first. And if Fiallo to be predominantly a striker, I hate how low volume he is. He pressures forward but doesn't throw. So you have two guys that like to pressure forward. Only one of them has high volume, one has low volume. One is 39, and one has no chin. I don't know what to think here. Fial looked a little better. He started a little slower. He thought his UFC career was on the line last time against Buckley. They're giving him one more shot. And I feel like he's going to be a little gun shy. I don't think he wants to go out there and just get cracked and knocked out for the fourth time in the UFC. So I think he's going to be very tentative. I think he's going to be very safe. And I think that's going to draw us to an over. I think he's going to be a little more defensive as usual. And the over's only set at 1.5, minus 145, not the worst line. Can Fiallo just go out there and starch Means in the first few seconds? Absolutely. He hits like a truck, and he does have good boxing. Can Means go out there and like literally jab Fiallo when he goes out? Absolutely. Fiallo is one of the worst chins on the active UFC roster. But they both know that their jobs are on the line and fight real tentative for a round and a half. I feel like that's the most likely. So the pick is going to be Fiallo. I could never possibly think about betting him at minus 180, but I will take that over 1.5 at minus 145. I think they're both scared for their jobs. And I think they're both going to get us paid because of their fear. Next fight of the night, we have one that I'm a little more confident in. Finally, we have Daniel Argueta minus 180 going up against Miles Johns at plus 150. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 145. Under 2.5 at plus 140. Let's start with Miles Johns. I know a lot of people mix up him and Tony Gravely. Not all black people look alike. I guess I look like Miles Johns sometimes. But at the end of the day, Miles Johns is a pretty good wrestler. His striking's not the greatest. It's improving. It's getting better. He's a good little jab on him. That's about it. He has 92% takedown defense. So put asterisks next to that. You can back him up. He does not react well when he gets hit. And when he does get hit, sometimes he goes out. He might be a little low-key chinny. We saw Mario Batista put him out. We saw John Castaneda hurt him pretty badly. I don't know if his chin is that bad and that he's chinny, or if he's just has such bad cardio. Once his cardio starts to fade, he goes out. Because the Batista knockout was in the second round when he started to fade. The Castaneda arm triangle was in the third round when he started to fade. Like, he does fade quite a bit. He gets real tired in there. We even saw in his debut against Cole Smith, he won a split decision against trash ass, bum ass Cole Smith because he got tired in there. I don't know. He's been striking a lot more to conserve the gas tank. You see that a lot. In his previous fights on the regional scene, like you see the win against Adrian Yanez, although it was a split and kind of controversial, he got the win and it was grapple heavy. The first part of his career was really, really, really grapple heavy. He was fighting pretty low level. He could take them down easy and he could control his breathing up top. But once these people he fighting started getting better. And once he took them down and they could reverse or get back up and he had to exert more energy, all of a sudden he's like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm getting tired with all this goddamn wrestling. I'm not that good of a striker, but I can put a nice little jab out there and kind of stall that way. And that's what he's been doing. He's been striking a lot more than I like to see because he's not a good striker. He has one hell of a jab. About it. That is about it. I know he has a win over Kevin Natividad versus via uppercut. Well, Kevin Natividad is it's nothing to write home about, no longer in the promotion. I know he has a nice overhand right win over Anderson Dos Santos. Anderson Dos Santos is not that good, not that much to write home about, no longer in the UFC. Oh, well, he has a stand-up war against Vince Morales. Well, they both threw like 30 significant strike. Neither one threw anything. And Vince Morales is no longer in the UFC. And in regards to that 92% pin that we put in there, Oh, who the fuck is taking him down? Vince Morales can't wrestle. John Castaneda is a Mexican boxer. Anderson Dos Santos is a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. Kevin Natamadad took the fight on short notice and is a striker. Mario Batista is a Mexican striker. And Cole Smith is Canadian. He took him down. That's who took him down, Cole Smith. Cole Smith is not good. He's cut from the promotion. So he's fighting the bottom of the barrel on a wrestling basis, and he still got taken down. Like that's concerning. That it's not good. If he fights a real wrestler, he might be in some issues. A la Daniel Argueta. Daniel Argueta is a good wrestler, and this is another guy where um, Miles Johns wrestled D1. Dan did not, but Dan is the better MMA wrestler. Dan, when it comes to the striking, he doesn't really have any hands either, to be honest with you. He's not that good of a striker. The most I've seen him strike was against Ricky Tercios at the Ultimate Fighter House. And it looked all right. Like, I wouldn't even say that Miles is the better striker. I think it's close. I think it's 50-50. I wouldn't even say that Miles is Dan is the better wrestler. I think it's pretty close. I think it's 50-50. I don't think it's close in regards to jiu-jitsu. Daniel is a very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. Daniel's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage, and Daniel's cardio is a whole hell of a lot better than Miles Johns. I've seen Daniel go 5 rounds before. I've seen him get absolutely dog walked in the his debut against Damon Jackson, and then come back in the third round like a bat out of hell, as if he didn't just fight 10 minutes. Like, his cardio is actually quite good. And if he chooses a wrestle heavy game plan that Miles John has been avoiding, again, Miles Johns, he's a good wrestler, but all that wrestling gets him tired. So he's been striking more to conserve energy. If Daniel comes out and makes him wrestle the entire fucking time, do you know how fast he's going to gas out? Johns is going to gas by the second round. Daniel is not. And then as soon as Daniel gets him down while Johns is tired, it's game over. I'm seeing a second round sub all day, every day by Daniel. There's a good chance Daniel loses round 1. That's fine. I'm not nervous. He's going to win rounds 2 and 3. It's just a matter of if he finishes him or not. So the pick is going to be Daniel. The bet's going to be Daniel. Again, you're getting good odds, and the best things in MMA are wrestling and cardio. Daniel has the edge in both. Pick Daniel, bet Daniel. Next fight of the night is what I've been going back and forth on. I'm very confused. It's probably one of the fights of the night. So we have Ricardo Ramos at plus 115 going up against Charles Jourdain at minus 135. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 130. Under 2.5 at plus 100. Let's start with Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain is someone I can't really get a hold of. I can't really pinpoint or figure him out. He's only 27 years old, and at 27, they seem to get a lot better very drastically and quickly. He has good striking. He throws a ton of volume. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. His cardio is really good. The problem with Charles Jourdain is, first and foremost, 48% takedown defense. It's not hard to take this man down. Multiple people out that are not named Kron Gracie have taken him down with ease. Kron shot a whole bunch of really crappy takedowns, and Charles was able to defend like kind of laughable takedowns, and Charles still has 48% takedown defense. So what the fuck was that number prior to the Kron Gracie fight? Like, it was definitely in the 30s. Like, that's very, very, very concerning. That 48 is an escalated number. Also, the sneaky thing about Charles that people aren't realizing is that he is a little chinny. He is what I always compare it to Usman. Usman, for years, for decades, would get dropped but never go out. We say eventually he's going to get cracked and he's going to go out. Someone's going to crack the code and he is going to go completely out. And I kept saying he has an Usman chin. One of these days, he's going to get dropped and not pop right back up. When you go back and you look, Nathaniel Wood dropped Jourdain. Shane Burgos dropped Jourdain. We saw Julian Arosa drop Jourdain. We saw Marcelo Rojo drop Jourdain. He gets dropped all the fucking time. Like, all the time. And then he just pops right back up. He's 27. He can pop right back up. Now, I don't think his chin is going to be a complete issue yet. But if he fights a really, really heavy hitter, he is going to be in some trouble. I don't think that's Ramos, but just keep an eye on it, because when if he fought someone like Topuria, Topuria would put his fucking lights out. Someone fighting someone like Dan Ige would be a problem. Might put his lights out, to be honest with you, but not right now. Not against Ricardo Ramos. But Jourdain, it's funny because things I like to watch, the things I fixate most on when I do fight tape, I like to watch their beginning fights. to see what they feel most comfortable with. If you're a wrestler, or you get like a Michael Chandler, he's a wrestler at heart. His striking got a lot better. When you watch his early tape, you see what people are comfortable doing. It's just nature to do what you're best at. So I watch some of their early stuff just to see what they feel most comfortable with, what they're if they get cracked, what they're going to resort to. What is their panic? Is their panic going to like panic wrestle? If they get cracked, are they going to just start swinging? Or are they going to cover up? You'll see everything in the beginning. I obviously want to see how they looked in their last fight. That's very important, probably the most important. And probably the second most important I like to look at is like a comparable fight. Like who is close to that person that they fought. For Jourdain, it was kind of the opposite. It was when I was watching Hamos, I realized Jourdain's very reminiscent, and the crazy thing is, I thought I was the only one seeing this, but my guy, Paul Shaughnessy over at Dogger Pass Podcast, best podcast in the business. If you don't, please give them a follow, give them a listen there. Him and Cody do a phenomenal job every week. He said that Jourdain is not much different than Bill Algeo, and that's the exact comparison I had. So just that much more confidence in this. And we saw Ramos go out there and dominate Bill Algeo. Why Bill Algeo? Because Bill Algeo is a good striker. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he rarely uses it. And he has 30% takedown defense. That's exactly what we just described for Jourdain. So what happened when Ramos fought Charles Jourdain lookalike and Bill Algeo? Ramos dominated. He got 8 takedowns. His wrestling has gotten better. His jiu-jitsu, he's a world-class jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's very good on the ground. His striking's a work in progress. I know he has a whole bunch of spinning back elbows and he continually throws it. He has a spinning back elbow knockout against Danny Chavez. He has one against Eamon Tahami. He went out there and did the spinning back elbow. Like he loves it. I know Molly McCann loves throwing that. She won't stop fucking throwing it. We just talked about Cody Brundage and his love for the guillotine. Now, nothing is like Cody Brundage's love for the guillotine. Bahamos is a pretty close second in regards to his spinning back elbow. He loves that thing. Throws it multiple times a fight. We'll throw it back to back to back in some fights. It's very interesting. It's his go-to move. But outside of that, he's pretty hittable on the feet. He will have a 3-inch reach advantage here, which actually surprised me a little because he's coming up a weight class. This guy used to fight at 135. He used to kill himself to get down to 135. Decided it's just too much. I'm going up to 145. And it's honestly looked a lot healthier, and his cardio's looked better up there at 145. Now, I know he missed his last fight. I know he missed his last weigh-in. He did say, I watched an interview. I know he said he was taking some new medicine and it just messed stuff up. I kind of believe him because he didn't look bad at 145 the other times he weighed in. He always looks bad on the scale, but that was at 135. When he weighed in against Lerone Murphy, he didn't look bad. When he weighed in against Bill Algeo, he didn't look terrible. So I believe him when he's saying that he just had something wrong with this medication. I'll cut him a slack for one chance. If he does it again, not so much. But I just talked about having some comparisons. We called Charles Jourdain Bill Algeo. Follow me on this. Follow me on this. Ricardo Ramos seems to be the second coming of the champ has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. Hear me out. First and foremost, Brazilian. Secondly, they both started their UFC careers really young as just jiu-jitsu practitioners. Same, all they could do is jiu-jitsu, and they both started when they were like 19, 20 years old in the UFC. They took some lumps. They had some pretty surprising wins. They had some pretty bad losses. And then they both decided, you know what, Charles, I can't make 145 anymore. I have to go up to 150, 155, fill out a little, and just be healthier. Ricardo Ramos, you know what? I can't make 135 anymore. I need to fill out, go up in weight, and be a little healthier. He also decided, Charles decided, you know what? I'm really going to work on my striking. My wrestling's okay. But and I'm really good on the ground, but I just need something else so that I can strike fear in these guys. I need more than one skill set. Ricardo Ramos did the opposite. He's like, you know what? I need more than one skill set. And he really worked on his wrestling, went out to switch camps, went out to Team Alpha Male, which is known solely for wrestling, and has come out and it has been a wrestling machine as of late. His striking is still okay, just like Charles's wrestling is just okay. So they both went up a weight class. They're both Brazilian. They both started really young, and they both decided they need to fix out in another part of their game. and that might be the answer to be have two ways to win, is going to be really beneficial to them and help. And both struggle on the scales. Like everything is just Charles Oliveira 2.0. And Charles went on a little bit of a run, if you remember, winning like 11 or 12 straight. Maybe it's the time for Hamos. Maybe this is when it starts. So I don't want to be late to the party. I don't want to be late to the train. And I'm going to hop on Hamos now. So the pick is going to be Hamos. The bet's going to be Hamos. But I do like the over more, to be honest with you. Over 2.5 is only minus 130. Again, he's not going to spinning back elbow. He's not going to spinning back elbow Charles Jourdain. It's probably going to go the distance. Jourdain's pretty dirt. Again, he has a Usman chin, but he's not going out. And they're both pretty good on the ground. I don't think either's going to tap each other out. So I like the over at minus 130. I think it's value. So the pick is Ricardo. The bet for value is going to be Ricardo, but if you want to be safe, I would take the over 2.5. Next fight of the night is not safe at all. We have Brian Battle, Pooh Bear, minus 175, AJ Fletcher plus 145. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 plus 100. Under 2.5 at minus 130. Let's start with Pooh Bear because Pooh Bear is a weird person. I don't really know what's going on with Pooh Bear. He's gonna have a 10-inch reach advantage here, which is just absolutely insane. But he's kind of a generalist. I mean, Ultimate Fighter winner up at middleweight, decided he's gonna cut down to welterweight, knocked out Takashi Sato real fast at welterweight. Interesting. Maybe he's a player at welterweight. Then he goes on to get absolutely murdered by Renat Fakhretdinov. I will say he took the fight on short notice. And Renat is, I think Renat's overrated. I think he's a little overhyped. I can't wait to fade him, but it was not the right play to do it with Battle. He just dog walked Battle because Battle has no wrestling whatsoever. He can't wrestle. He's a generalist. He's an okay striker. He's an okay jiu-jitsu practitioner. Has a little in his back pocket. Can't wrestle to save his fucking life. 38% takedown defense. Like it's bad. Then he goes out there and he misses weight, but then he knocks out Gabe Green real fast. I don't think that's that impressive because although Gabe Green isn't someone that goes out there and gets knocked out all the time, you want to talk about Usman chins. Gabe Green was getting knocked down by Phil Rowe. He was getting knocked down by Giannis, or what is it, Johan Lioness, like killed him. Like he was on the ground. I don't know why they didn't. That was a walk-off. If Johan probably just walks away, they probably stopped the fight because Gabe Green got clocked and laid on the ground looking up, not knowing where he was, but whatever. Johan gassed out and Gabe Green ended up winning. Ian Gary dropped him multiple times when he caught up and he kept fighting. So Gabe was another one of those Usman chin guys. You're like, he's going to get all the way put out eventually. Sure enough, here comes Pooh Bear. Puts him out real quick, 14 seconds. So it's not as impressive as people are laying out. And he did miss weight along the way. I don't think Brian Battle's a welterweight. He's massive. He is huge. He looks very unhealthy on the scale. I'd much rather see him at middleweight, but it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know. He's interesting. But on the other side, you have AJ Fletcher, who I also don't think is a welterweight because I think he's a lightweight. I think it's the opposite side of the spectrum. His wrestling's okay, but that is not what his background was. His background is football. He learned everything all at once. He was a football player who transitioned over into MMA. His striking is okay. It's not the most technical, but he hits very hard. His wrestling's okay. He didn't do it his whole life, but he's an athletic freak, so he's a really good glass double. His jiu-jitsu, he has a lot of submission wins on the regional scene. You're not seeing it in the UFC, but on the regional scene, he had quite a few submissions there. So probably because he has a really tight squeeze because he's so short and compact. I don't like how hittable he is. That's very concerning. But at the end of the day, I can't tell you who the better fighter is. I think Fletcher knows. He took down Matthew Semmelsberger when he took a fight on short notice multiple times. Almost got the win doing that. He tried doing it against Angelusa where he is outgunned. He just went 0-4 on takedown, so it kind of sucked. But Angelusa's a good wrestler. He trains over at Killcliff. Very, very good wrestler, and he's just too small. Then he fought Demba Griambo. Demba was able to take him down, but he also took down Demba. Demba's trash, and he was able to take him down. And oh yeah, he did get a submission, and he ultimately got a finish there. So at the end of the day, Fletcher, because he has such a reach disadvantage, he tries to explode in and knock you out, and he's eventually going to go for that takedown. My thing is, he's probably going to take down Battle, but getting on the inside is going to be tough with that 10-inch reach advantage. Battle's the better striker. Fletcher's the better athlete. Their jiu-jitsu's a wash. Fletcher's the better wrestler. But I made a deal. Okay. I always take wrestlers over strikers, but there's two things. I don't trust strikers who can wrestle a little to win fights where they have to wrestle the whole time. I don't trust that. And if there's a weight discrepancy where they meet in the middle, you always take the larger person. When you have someone that fought Jessica Andrade, you had someone that used to fight at 115. She's fighting Valentina at 125. Valentina used to fight 135. They met in the middle at 125. You always take the larger person. Like, that's just an example. You see this all the time with these people bouncing back and forth between weight classes. If one person made a lower weight class, if they were ever two weight classes below, you don't take them. AJ Fletcher has never fought at 155, but he should be. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to take, but he's never actually fought at 155. Fuck it. Dog or pass. The pick is going to be Fletcher. This is the one I've gone back and forth with the most this entire week. The answer is probably just the over at 2.5 is plus money now that I'm staring at it. I don't hate that at all. So the pick is going to be AJ. The bet's going to be the over 2.5. Fuck picking aside. But Battle also, Usman Chin candidate. He has been dropped multiple times. Trayshawn Gore dropped him. Gabe Green did rock him a little in that 14 seconds as he rushed in. So watch, someone's going to put Battle out one of these times, and probably at 170 because he's too depleted. I just don't know if it's Fletcher. I think Fletcher's going to want to wrestle. So the pick is going to be Fletcher. The bet's going to be the over 2.5 at plus money. Next fight of the night we can hurry up with because no one wants to talk about this fight. We just saw it a year ago and it was not an Insta classic. We have Marina Rodriguez at minus 310 now, going up against Michelle Waterson at plus 250. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 395. Under 2.5 at plus 280. Let's go ahead and start with Marina Rodriguez. Very good striker, hits decently hard for the division. Absolutely terrible wrestler. 64% takedown defense. She does have a 3-inch reach advantage in this matchup. She does throw a ton of volume. She's fought really good girls. Her cardio's not terrible. It's good in 3 rounds, sketchy in 5 rounds, but this is a 3-round fight. She's 36 years old. She's not a young prospect. She came to the UFC late. She got a lot of quick wins and they tried to push her because of how old she was. But at the end of the day, you give her a wrestler and she's in some trouble. Verna dominated. Amanda Lemos just got the knockout. That was interesting. It was a standing TKO. I think she just got caught. Carla Esparza, wrestler, grappled her. That's how she loses. Any of her losses, she got out grappled. That's literally it. And then Amanda Lemos caught her with that weird standing TKO that was so-so. Lucky for her, she's fighting Michelle Waterson, who will try to incorporate some wrestling, but is not a good wrestler. She's a striker herself. And I know Marina Rodriguez is 36. Michelle Waterson Gomez is 37. So she's even older. They fight the same way. She wants to just point fight you. She's pretty hittable on the feet, to be honest with you. She has good cardio. Her cardio is better. And she definitely tries to wrestle more, but she's not a wrestler. And I just said I'm not trusting a striker to have to go out there and wrestle to win a fight. They just fought a year ago, and it was not close. Marina Rodriguez absolutely crushed her. And Michelle's done nothing but get older. I know Marina has as well, but yeah, not having this. It's stupid. It's a waste of time. I respect both these girls. Hate that they're fighting again. The pick is going to be Marina Rodriguez. The bet's going to be Marina Rodriguez to murder her again. And then that takes us to the co-main. It's going to have some controversy. We have Bryce Mitchell at minus 200 going up against Dan Ige at plus 170. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 245. Under 2.5 at plus 185. Let's start with Bryce. Bryce, we haven't seen in a little bit here. He had to pull out of that fight against Mazrar Evloev. He has really good wrestling. He has really good jiu-jitsu. One of the only guys to do a twister is what you'll hear over and over again. Mitchell's striking has improved, but it's still not that good, to be honest with you. His camo shorts aren't that cool. They're not as cool as people will say they are. You'll hear them talk about that as well. He does have a propensity to slow down in his fights. His cardio is not the greatest. And his volume is terrible. He doesn't throw a ton. Like he's predominantly just a grappler. He has good wrestling, he has good jiu-jitsu, he has a good top game. He will hold you there once he gets you down there. That's his whole thing. He's not going to go out there. He's not a knockout threat. The only knockout he's getting is a ground and pound because he's on top of you. He's controlling you. He wants his fight on the ground ASAP. Dan Ige, no slouch on the ground. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt himself. Striking, head and shoulders better than Bryce Mitchell. Not even close. Wrestling, not very good. That's the problem. I know he's like a state champ in wrestling, but it's not translating in MMA. His MMA wrestling, again, folk style, MMA wrestling, two completely different entities. Although Ige might be a good folk style wrestler, his MMA wrestling is ass. That's a concern. 56% takedown defense. His schedule, great. He's fought against really good guys. Bryce Mitchell fought Edson Barbosa and Ilya Taporia, and no one else good. He lost to Brad Katona, who's a 135 pounder. Like, not a good look, Bryce. On the flip side, you have Dan Ige, who is Extreme Couture, so he's training with the world champion and Sean Strickland right now. He has a win over crazy Nate Landwehr and David Jackson. Those wins are just okay. But he's fought Evloev. He fought Josh Emmett. He fought Korean Zombie. He fought Calvin Cater. He also has a win over Edson Barbosa. He fought Julio Arce. Like, he's fought really, really, really good guys. And he has a lot of wins over them. So Dan Ige is the more talented fighter. Dan Ige has more routes to win, but Dan Ige struggles with the wrestling. So the pick should be Bryce, and I will pick Bryce, but I'm not going to bet him. I think I'm going to bet Ige at plus 170. Why? Because money rules, and this line is off. Ige is the better fighter. Ige doesn't have all this drama going on that Bryce Mitchell does with his. Bryce Mitchell is his ex-girlfriend stealing his crops, and he has like mysterious injuries, and someone said that he has a shoulder problem currently, and he's just kind of like rehabbing it, and he's training himself at his own gym in this little itty-bitty thing in his house, opposed to going to a real gym with Dan Ige training with the current champ Sean Strickland. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's going Ige's way. And the last real greasy thing I'll give you is the fact that Dan Ige is from Hawaii, and Bryce Mitchell has talked a lot of shit saying that the Hawaii fires were staged by the government. Not a good look. I think Ige is going to look to take out some frustration for his people. So the pick is going to be Bryce. Always take the wrestler. The bet, Ige, because he's the better fighter and he has more motive currently. And that takes us to the main event. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Give a follow over on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever there's social media. There's the Stats and Stacks podcast. We have Rafael Fiziev at minus 160 going up against Mateusz Gamrot plus 135. Over under set at 4.5. Over 4.5 at minus 130. Under 4.5 at plus 100. Let's start with Mateusz. Mateusz is good. He's really good. He has really good wrestling. His striking's okay, but he's training over an American top team, so it's just going to get better and better. He's 32, so he's in his prime. If he's going to do the damn thing, it's going to be now. He has really good cardio. I know he slowed down in his last fight, and people are bringing that up. Well, he did not look good against Jalen Turner. Is everyone forgetting? Y'all must have forgot. He took that fight on a week's notice. He didn't train. He did not have a fight camp. He rolled off the couch and decided to cut weight and made 155. It wasn't even a catch weight. He made 155 and fought Jalen Turner, who is a top 10 guy in the division. Like, that's not an easy task. Cut the guy a little slack for getting a little tired in the third round, and he fucking won the fight. He won the fight against a top 10 guy off the couch in a week's notice. Like, give him a little break here. His schedule overall is pretty good. Jalen Turner, good. Beneil Dariush, good. Arman Tsarukyan, good. Diego Ferreira, good. Jeremy Stevens, Garam, it's all right. Like, he's fought some pretty good people. His jiu-jitsu, sneaky good. He has a lot of submission wins on the regional scene over at KSW. What I will tell you, though, the one thing I don't like, this is the card of Usman's. One of these guys are going out, and it's literally the card of Usman's because Muhammad Usman is on the card. But he is a little bit of a Usman chin as well. We've seen him dropped badly against Beneil. Like the Beneil one was pretty comparable to the Game Green versus Johan Lioness one, where he got flatlined on the ground, had no idea where he was. But for some reason, the ref gave him a chance to keep going. He also got dropped by God, Jalen Turner dropped him. Like I've seen him drop, but Guram dropped him. So that's 3 fights right there where he's been dropped that I watched. Like he gets dropped almost every fight. So that's a little concerning. He's not that chinny to where he's going out, but if you clip this guy right, he will drop. So one of these days he's gonna go out. He's a little hittable on the feet, although his striking is getting better. It's not just a Miles Johns jab. He has like a jab and a left hook, so he doesn't have much more on the feet. But that doesn't matter because he's grappling the entire time, and he's a gas tank to do so. The Arman Tsarukyan fight, I thought Arman Tsarukyan won personally. But I had money on Mateusz, so fuck it. I'll take the W. And he shot like 21 or 28 takedowns or something crazy like that. He doesn't stop. If he doesn't get the takedown, he chain grapples. He'll shoot another and he'll shoot another. And he doesn't stop. Very reminiscent to Merab. Merab's takedown accuracy is not good at all. But if he continues to shoot and you have to continue to sprawl, like they're not half-hearted shots, he's actually shooting. Eventually, he's going to get the timing perfect, or he's going to get you so tired that you just physically can't sprawl like you need to, and he's going to put you out. Gamrot, honestly, striking's not that different either. To be 100% honest with you, Merab and Gamrot's 155-pound Merab. That's what my Tayu says. 155 Merab. What is Fiziev? Fiziev is a striker, and that is it. Like that's literally it. Fiziev is a world-class striker. He's very, very, very good on the feet. He's 12-2. He's 30 years old, so he's in his prime. His losses are to Justin Gaethje and Magomed Mustayev. Not bad losses. In the Mustayev fight, he just got caught. So if they ran that back, he'd probably win, to be honest with you. He is world-class. Very, very, very good striking. He has a ton of power. He throws a ton of volume. I like everything about this guy striking. That's it, though. I know he has a 90% takedown defense. Hear me out. Who the fuck is supposed to take him down? He fought Justin Gaethje, who did take him down. Justin is a good wrestler, but he never uses it. Justin Gaethje got one takedown at the very end of the first round. He did get it. So that was concerning that Fiziev got taken down by someone who doesn't wrestle, and then proceeded to get outstruck in round 2 and 3. Like, that's not good. You're a world-class striker. Justin Gaethje is an American wrestler who outstruck you. Like, that's interesting to me. RDA is actually a decent wrestler. That one holds weight. I'll give him that. He did stuff a lot of takedowns by RDA. I have nothing to say there. Brad Riddell, not a wrestler. I don't think he shot a takedown. Bobby Green, not a wrestler. Didn't shoot a takedown. Renato Moicano, not the greatest wrestler, but he decided to strike for some godforsaken reason. That was before it was Money Moicano, and then he got knocked out. So I think we owe Fiziev. I think him knocking out Moicano created Money Moicano. It kind of slapped some sense back into him, and then he decided, you know what, maybe I should wrestle again. So thank you, Fiziev, for knocking out Moicano to give us Money Moicano. But again, 0 takedown attempts. Mark Diakase, not a wrestler, even though he thinks he is. Alex White, not a wrestler. Magomed Mustayev just knocked him out right away. So literally, he has 90% takedown defense, but he's fought one wrestler in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights. Number is skewed as fuck. Like, it's not real. The 90% is not real. He's 90% against RDA. That's it. Mateusz and RDA are not the same caliber wrestlers. I'll tell you that. If Justin Gaethje can take you down, I guarantee you Mateusz can take you down. So it really turns into wrestler versus grappler. What's going to happen? This is why I'm going to take Gamrot. First and foremost, you take the grappler over the striker every time. It's going to work more than not. Secondly, Gamrot, I just said, shot over 20 takedowns against Arman Tsarukyan. Fiziev, bad cardio. He slows in his fights. I know that it's looked a little hot and cold. Like, he looked okay in the RDA fight, but he didn't look good in the Gaethje fight. I know he looked okay in the Brad Riddell fight, but his cardio didn't look good in the Bobby Green fight. Like, it goes back and forth, and I think it depends on how high volume he is. Forget the volume. Wrestling is the most tiring aspect of MMA, bar none, not even close. So if Gamrot ass is shooting 28 takedown attempts on this dude. He's going to gas out. And when he gasses out, Gamrot's going to get it. And when Gamrot gets the takedown, it's going to be smooth sailing because Fiziev can do nothing off of his back. So it's either going to be a Fiziev early knockout or it's going to be a Gamrot decision or late sub. Don't sneak on the sub prop, man, because Gamrot hasn't tapped anyone out in a while, and y'all must have forgot. I'm going to lean the wrestler. I'm going to lean the cardio. The pick's going to be Gamrot. The bet's going to be Gamrot. And that's UFC Vegas 79, Fiziev versus Mateusz Gamrot. We have, again, a great week happened. The last few weeks are looking to continue. We have a break coming up next week. So let's make a ton of money before the break. Let's get it.